What up, sports fans? Waxon Wednesday, Jake Waxman, Tom Level, let two guys talk sports. Let's get this show on the road. And sorry for this episode being so late. Have my hands full with a number of things, but I am ready to give you guys some sports talk this evening. Alright, we're going to get into football, but before I do that, we got some breaking news out of the IndyCar community, or from IndyCar. The biggest name in free agency for IndyCar silly season 2024, he is off the boards, and that being Alexander Rossi. We now know where he is going. And the word on the block is Alexander Rossi. Actually, now the news is official. Alexander Rossi to join Ed Carpenter Racing in 2025. He will drive the 20 car for Indianapolis native and Butler alum Ed Carpenter. So you guys are probably wondering, what do I think of this move? All things considered, it was a possibility that he could join Ed Carpenter. That was always a possibility. I just forgot to mention that in a previous video when we were discussing all of Rossi's options of which teams he could join. That's a team I should have mentioned. I should have remembered that. But I knew there was a possibility he could join Ed Carpenter. It is kind of a surprise, I will say that. I thought he might join like Rahal Letterman Lanigan because of his history with Honda, but I also kind of thought Prima, but, just didn't work out on either one of those ends. And it looks like that Ed Carpenter Racing offered Alexander Rossi the kind of contract he wanted more than the other teams. Now, I will say this. I am not expecting Alexander Rossi to have a breakout season in 2025 and expecting him to get back to the winning ways he had in 2018. I think those days are sadly long gone. I think that sadly his best days in terms of racing and winning races is probably it's behind Rossi. But the thing you got to remember is for Rossi, and because of that, there weren't going to be like options like Chip Ganassi Racing or even Andretti. None of those were going to be on the table for him. So it was just a matter of picking a destination where he was going to feel the best or the most comfortable. So. And Ed Carpenter it is then. My only guess is, like I said, Ed Carpenter offered him the kind of contract he wanted. And I will say this. I think Rossi is a driver who can help make a team better. And I think he will help improve that Ed Carpenter Racing team. They're kind of in a rebuilding phase. They're kind of retooling. Of course, Rinus VeeKay, he won't be back with that team. That is who Alexander Rossi, believe it or not, is replacing at Ed Carpenter. He's replacing Rinus VeeKay. Although he's not taking VK's number. Rossi will be in the 20, while Christian Rasmussen will be in the 21 for Ed Carpenter. And Ed Carpenter, he'll be Indy only. Like I said, I think it's going to help improve. And Rossi, the move, signing Alexander Rossi is going to help Ed Carpenter Racing improve. Especially at Indy. Because Rossi, he's an Indy 500 winner, and he's a proven driver at Indy. So that's going to help that racing program get better. And on a side note, just personal side note, to me, now while this is kind of like your average free agency move, for me, it's a power move for Alexander Rossi in terms of merchandising, okay? And the reason is, there's a local store in Indy called The Shop Indy. They sell a lot of shirts based around like the Indy 500, Purdue, Indiana, Butler, a lot of things based on the state of Indiana. And they do Indy 500 shirts every year. And also, they do a lot of the merchandising for Ed Carpenter Racing. And sometimes they sell these shirts on their own personal website. So this could be a power move for Rossi in terms of merchandising, because finally, I might be able to get an Alexander Rossi shirt. I'll repeat that. An Alexander Rossi merchandise from a reliable source. That is the Shop Indy. So in that perspective, I love this move. So we'll see how Rossi does at Ed Carpenter Racing. I'm just hoping he'll be able to finish his entire career with that team. But like I said, we'll pan out. But I'm excited to see how Rossi does with the new team next year, especially at Indy. So for those who have not heard, once again, Alexander Rossi to Ed Carpenter Racing, and he will drive the number 20 Chevrolet for Ed Carpenter. So and to close it off, I wish Alexander Rossi all the best with his new team. And for those wondering, yep, I'll still be rooting for Alexander Rossi. New team, new opportunities. Let's do it. All right, on to my Next subject. So now we're getting into the football talk. So I'm going to start by talking about a couple NFL quarterbacks. So we're going to talk about, focus on two in particular, Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels. Okay, I'm going to start with Jayden Daniels. Okay, Monday Night Football, I just got to say, that was if ever there was a coming out party for a quarterback, Jayden Daniels had his night against the Bengals. I thought he looked tremendous. Very poised. Didn't make a single mistake. Threw his first NFL touchdown pass and another one in that same game. Threw for over 200 yards. But he looked flawless in that game. And as of right now, in terms of the rookie quarterbacks, Jayden Daniels looks like the best rookie quarterback out there right now. He's playing with a lot of poise, and Washington has set him up well with a fantastic offensive line, great supporting cast in the receivers and the running backs, of course. But Jayden Daniels, he is starting his NFL career strong. He looks confident. The poise is there. You know, he's playing with a great football IQ right now. There's a lot to when you watch Jayden Daniels. Sure, there's some things he can improve on, but there's a lot to like about his game. And admittedly, now I'm not gonna say anything negative right now about Jayden Daniels. No, like, oh, he's got a great supporting cast or all that. None of that. No excuses from me here. No criticisms from me. Jayden Daniels right now looks like the best rookie quarterback. And you know what? I'm not too surprised about this from the sense that he comes from LSU, which has a knack for sending great NFL players, quarterbacks included. You know, we got Joe Burrow, who is a very good quarterback in the NFL. And of course, this was a duel between LSU quarterbacks. You know, Jayden Daniels and Joe Burrow both played well, but the rookie outplayed the veteran. So Jayden Daniels, I like what I see from him. And admittedly, there was a time. You know, I said this to Miles. I can't say I said this on my Waxon Wednesday podcast, but I said this once to Miles. If the Bears are going to go quarterback, I would rather have Jayden Daniels than Caleb Williams. I actually liked more what I saw in Jayden Daniels' game than I did with Caleb's. I thought his game would transfer more to the NFL. That was my reasoning. And right now, Jayden Daniels' game from college is carrying over into the NFL. And kudos to Jayden. He's looking... You know, he may be a rookie, but he's looking like a veteran right now. He's played for a few years, and good for him. I'm happy for him, and I hope he continues to shine for this Washington Commanders team. Now, I don't want to say anything bad about the next quarterback I'm going to talk about, Caleb Williams, but it just pains me to say this right now. Jayden looks better than Caleb Williams, okay? The stats may not say it, but you look at the way they both have played. Jayden has been better than Caleb Williams, but they're both rookies, so they're still and you know, Caleb Williams still has plenty to learn. But hey, Bears fans, let's not jump too far into conclusions yet in terms of which of these two is better. So far, all I'm saying is Jayden looks better, but things could change. You never know. Not taking anything away from Jayden Daniels. Of course, for Caleb Williams, the good news is he's improving. He's getting better. Even with a dog crap offensive line right now. Like, that offensive line has been terrible for the Bears. But the good news is it isn't stopping the problems there aren't stopping Caleb Williams from getting better. Threw for over 350 yards against the Colts. Finally got his first NFL his first touchdown throw to Rome Odunze, who also had a very strong game against the Colts. Nice to see those two finally getting the chemistry locked in, the pieces. So, Williams is improving. That's the good news. He still has plenty to learn. Got to cut down on the turnovers. Of course, rookies are going to throw They're going to throw interceptions, bad ones. But so far, I think only out of all the 4 interceptions that Caleb's had, and that's a high number for a rookie, I think only one of them has really been his fault. 1 or 2 of them, I would say, have been his fault. And there was one interception against the Colts. That second one was not his fault, from what I've heard. He still, don't get me wrong, Caleb still has plenty to learn. But also at the same time, the good news for Bears fans is he's improving. He's getting better, and that's what's really going to matter a lot for this Bears team. As long as he continues to progress. And against the Colts, despite the problems with the offensive line, and while he didn't play perfect, he made a lot of progress. And threw for a lot of yards, had some touchdowns, had some great looking throws too, and some plays that he could have done better. But both the Commanders and the Bears so far should be feeling good about the quarterbacks they've drafted so far, because both are showing a lot of promise. The thing with Caleb is, he's got plenty to work on, but you know what? It's not all his fault. All right. And you know what? I don't take ESPN seriously. I saw earlier they were talking about Caleb Williams on ESPN, like I think Ryan Clark gave him a D, and I was just like, no, I would give him at least a C plus, maybe a B. Okay, I would give him a higher grade than what Clark gave him, and that is because not all of what happened in that Indy game was his problem. I mean, Caleb Williams, he's getting better, but he's dealing with a lot more than just learning from rookie mistakes. He's having to play with an O-line that is just ridiculously bad or has not meshed together and built that chemistry yet. And you got Shane Waldron, who right now his play calling is just not there yet for Williams and not helping him out a lot. So don't want to make too many excuses for Caleb Williams, but these are just things that I have observed and noticed between these two quarterbacks. So overall, like I said, I don't take ESPN seriously because you know what? They just got a hate bias for the Bears. But that's just me, of course. ESPN hates the Bears, then again. But overall, I like what I'm seeing from Williams, and I also really like what I'm seeing from Jaden Daniels. Both of these quarterbacks showing a lot of promise. And I'm hoping that both of those two can keep it up. These are my thoughts on both Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. 3 games into both of these guys' NFL careers thus far. Okay, now, oh boy. I don't know how to start talking about this next subject. I've never seen anything like this. So this has just happened today. UNLV quarterback Matthew Saluka. He is leaving UNLV, the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, over a $100K NIL dispute amid growing tensions in college football's pay-for-play area. So, to sum it up, Matthew Saluka, who's been the starting quarterback for UNLV, and they're off to a really, really great start this season, and now their season could be crashing down because their starting quarterback is withdrawing from football, or from UNLV football at the very least, and looking to enter the transfer portal. I mean, redshirt from what I heard. Because apparently, I guess UNLV missed a payment, or they didn't give him the $100K that was promised to Matthew, and he's upset about that, and that's why he's quit football. Oh boy. Okay, I'm just going to say this. I don't know who's at fault for this. I don't know if it's UNLV, the athletic department's fault, or if Matthew's maybe making too many demands here. Now, from what I've heard, UNLV promised him $100K, but question is, did they promise him like immediately, or over the course of the season they'll pay a certain amount of money leading up to the $100K or $100K, So that's $100,000 that we're talking about, okay, in payment. So I don't know for specifically whether UNLV promised him to pay in means of like overall throughout the season or to give him the $100,000 immediately. I don't know what was said there. So I don't know all the details about this. I'm going to read more into this, but sports fans, this is bad for college football. This is the one thing I know. This is going to impact college football in a very negative manner. Because this is the first time something like this has happened in the NIL era. A player withdrawing from the collegiate sport because he's not getting the money that he was owed, or he thought he was owed. Again, it's only speculation, but this could pave the way for more instances like this where college football players, or even a team, or even like a whole unit, holds out until they get the money or whatever they were promised in their NIL deals. We could see more. What I'm saying is, there could be more this won't be the last holdout. There'll be more. This guy just pretty much set this in action. Or he's at least testing a new form of protest in the form of protesting NIL, and protesting a university's mishandling of NIL money. Or, sorry for the lack of clean words there. But this is not good. Holy cow. So a quarterback is withdrawing from a university because he didn't get the money that he was owed instead of continuing to play. This is going to cause huge distractions, of course, for UNLV. This could tank their season. And we're going to see more things like that. And this is going to tank other programs' season, like the football season. It could tank other programs, their respective seasons, because the best players holding out because they weren't given the money. It could also be there was a number of other things that happened behind the scenes. Maybe he did something that the university didn't like and they withheld that money, and we're waiting to see how he does. You know, again, like I said, I don't know who really we can blame here, or who's at fault. Like, who's in the wrong? We don't know that for sure. All I know is this is definitely something brand new and could lead to bigger consequences for players who are getting paid to play, and as well as the respective football programs. So this could be the start of more players either dropping out of football programs or holding out or protesting over their whatever they were promised in terms of NIL money. So and you know what? That's not good for college football, because there are programs out there that cannot afford this to happen. You know, plenty of football programs who aren't like NIL rich. You know, those kind of programs. If that happened to one of those programs, like a Purdue or even maybe like a Marshall, just for example, that can hurt a lot. That would hurt that program a ton, and it would tank their season because they can't simply. There are players on their rosters they cannot replace. You know, other programs like LSU, Alabama, Notre Dame, Michigan, they could get by with this. But other smaller programs, this happens to a smaller program, that's going to tank their season. And that's not good for college football. This is very bad. So I'm not going to dog on the kid or rip him apart for what he's done, you know, because I don't know the whole story. But all I'm saying is this kind of holdout will lead to more holdouts like this, and it will hurt college football and college football programs all across the United States. And once again, I'm just going to say this once again. We need to put a cap on how much each school can spend in terms of NIL money. Okay, we need to put a cap on that, or else we're going to see more problems like this. That's where I'll leave this subject. Okay. Holy Toledo! This could get even more explosive as time goes on. Okay, on to this day in sports history. And on this day, the 25th of September, 1926, the NHL grants franchises to the Chicago Blackhawks and the Detroit Red Wings, leading to the creation of two crucial members of the original six. By the way, they're playing hockey tonight. I do know that. All right, sports fans, that is all I got for this week's Waxon Wednesday. Thank you so much for watching. Jake Waxman from Two Guys Talk Sports, signing off.